Hey y'all, it's Chris and Tammy with Collard Valley Cooks, and today we are making some country style boneless pork ribs, and they are delicious. We're doing this a little bit different than I normally do, so I hope you like the way it turned out. I don't know about you, but when I go to the grocery store, I try to buy what's on sale, and I typically try to grab something that's below $10. And sometimes that's hard with grocery stores today and their prices, especially on meats. But I tell you what's good, pork. You can get some pretty good prices on your pork. And today I chose a lean pork loin country style ribs. They're boneless. And I've been buying these since the kids were little. They're always one of the best prices you can get for your pork at the grocery store. And typically, when I was younger, I would just throw them in a baking dish. I'd put some barbecue sauce on them. I'd bake them, and that was supper. But today, we're going to do a little bit more and make it just a tad more special. Bake it at a lower and slower temperature so that it's nice and tender. So, we've got several spices here. I've got salt, black pepper. I'm going to use a smoked paprika. Now, you don't have to use the smoke if you don't want to. I have got some oregano, some roasted garlic powder, not salt. I've got onion powder, and I've also got some thyme. Now, if you don't have one of these, it's absolutely fine. Just leave one out. Okay, so we're going to start out with a teaspoon of salt. About a half teaspoon of black pepper. A teaspoon of paprika, this is roasted garlic powder, teaspoon of onion powder, this is thyme, so we'll do a heaping teaspoon of thyme, and a heaping teaspoon of oregano. Now, the only thing that I might have to add is a little more salt, but really and truly, pork has some salt in it naturally, and I don't want to get it too salty. So I think I'm going to leave it at a teaspoon because, like I said, if you want to make this for more meat, then just double it. But you don't want to waste your spices either, okay? Because you're going to be dipping this. So you're just going to take your pork, and they've got mine sliced. It's barely hanging on at the ends, so I'm just going to pull them apart. And yes, I'm going to use my hands. Now, my pork is a little bit wet, but I didn't rinse it. Now, if you want to rinse your pork, rinse it and then dry it with a paper towel before you dip it. And we're just going to place the pork in here. And then once you're finished dipping all of it, if you got a little bit extra, you can always pick them back up and run them through it. But it looks like we're going to use it all to me. I got to wash my hands to be able to do that. So what I'm going to do with this piece is just sprinkle a little bit of everything on it. But I'm going to rinse my hands off first because I did touch the meat with both fingers. So we'll be right back. All right, some of y'all have been watching me a while and you've seen my little brush I wash my hands with. One of the things I want to say is if you're grossed out because I touched my meat, I do wash my hands really well. I'm going to show you what I used to do that. So I put plenty of soap on my hands, of course, and then I have this surgery brush that a viewer sent me that has these. And all you've got to do, once you've got soap all over your hands, but you can take this and go underneath your nails. And so that way you get a good scrub, just like the surgeons, okay? I have those on the website under must-haves, under shop now, and then must-haves, super affordable. I think you get two for less than $10 or around $10. If you want to check those out, they're wonderful to have, and that way you don't have to worry about it. All right, so here we are back at my little piece of pork, and I didn't have quite enough mixed up, but I'm going to tell you this, with prices like they are right now, you're much better off not wasting your spices So we're just gonna put a little bit in here, shake it up, and then we might put a little extra on a couple of more. But you don't really want to waste these spices because they do cost a lot, you know, except for salt. Salt's still pretty cheap. But the rest of it is pretty expensive. So we're just going to shake this around in here. And roll this one. We're just going to take a little bit of foil. We're going to cover this and get it in the oven. When these come out of the oven, by then I'll have some potatoes cut up for mashed potatoes and gravy and some broccoli steaming. While these pork ribs are cooking, I would like to know if you have a favorite way to make these. Since most of the time I just use the barbecue and now I'm using a dry rub, if you have a favorite way that your mama taught you how to make these, or your daddy or whoever, please let us know so that we can give it a try. We've got our potatoes boiling for our mashed potatoes. We've got some broccoli ready to steam, and we're about to pull this pork out of the oven and get it ready for broiling, okay? So we'll go ahead and turn the oven from bake to broil. So we're going to take the foil off and be careful and don't get burnt by the steam. And I'm just going to lay it out on a flat iron. Whoops. Boy, it's tender, all right. It's real tender, y'all. So boy, it really made a mess in the pan, didn't it? So I should have sprayed the pan, I guess. So you guys should spray the pan. Now I'm gonna spray it with a little olive oil so that it gets a really nice crunch on the top. Otherwise, it would just dry it out, okay? All right, we're gonna use this for some pan sauce. So I'm gonna deglaze it a little bit with some water, or just put a little extra water in it, really. And I'm just gonna stir it around. We're gonna use some Wonder flour to make a pan sauce with it. So I've been using it the last few days and I've really fell in love with it. And it's super fine. It's like cheating, really. Now it's only gonna take a second to broil this. So don't leave it in there too long. It looks good. And now we're going to mix up this pan sauce and get it in this little skillet. It'll thicken. Oh, that's fast. Let me put a little bit of water in it. Thin it up. If you get it a little too thick like I did, just add a little water to it. And mix it up about however the thickness you want it to be. So now we have us a pan sauce. And you've seen the way that flour works. It just thickens right up once it gets hot. So we're going to make us a plate. Here's our fluffy potatoes that we made. I put a little sour cream on them, in them. Got some delicious fresh broccoli. So there's our pretty broccoli. All right, I'm gonna put 2 pieces of pork right here. They're pretty. And then we have our pan sauce. And I put just a little bit of salt in this. I tasted it first and then I salted it. There you have it. Delicious pork loin. Now we're gonna see if all this fuss was worth it. If it was worth cooking this way. I know one thing, it's made the house smell good today, hadn't it, Chris?
Mm-hmm.
So it's made us hungry just smelling it in the house. It's nice and tender, you can see. And what's great about it is it's just not what I typically make, which is just some barbecue. So we're gonna see how it tastes, and I'm gonna mix it up with my potatoes and eat it. All right, looks good. It's super tender, it's very easy to chew, and all of those spices mixed together on it, they're really good. And it's something that's a little different than the norm for us, which is so nice. It's a delicious plate of food, one that you'd pay a lot of money for if you went to town and had to buy it somewhere. I don't even think you could buy something this good. All right, Chris picked this recipe out, so we're gonna let him be the taste tester.
All right. It does look good, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It's really good.
I think so too, and very different.
Yeah, it's not like a pork chop. It's more like a pork roast.
Right. But with a little more flavor.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
I like it.
I do too. So we just want to thank you for watching Collared Valley Cooks, where we cook.
Like Mama did.
Yes, we did. No, let's do it over. We just want to thank you so much for watching Collared Valley Cooks, where we cook.
Like Mama did.
That's right. We'll see you next time on Collared Valley Cooks. Y'all, tell us how you like to cook your pork loin. Okay, bye.
Cooking time, it's over now. Tammy, she just showed you how to cook it up